Hi guys, so in the last 3 episodes we have spoke about basic movement, advanced movement. In the very first episode I spoke about setting the game up. Now, I know I said that I would avoid talking about commands and things, but the chances are if anyone is going to install the game, the first thing they're going to notice is, well, the game looks rubbish, it feels rubbish, it doesn't play the way I want it to play, it doesn't suit my, basically it wouldn't suit anyone because for some reason the defaults are horrible, so I sort of have to talk about commands and things. Now, I included my own config, which might be okay for some of you, but probably it won't be because I have some weird key setups. So I'm going to go over some important commands. Most of them are visual, some of them are not. I won't talk about controls because most of the controls can be sorted in the configs. The controls are all there, it's really simple to set up yourself. But if you don't already know, to open up the console you need to use the tilde key, which is the little key next to the 1. It's got 3 little symbols on it. Next, see, I'm just looking at my notes. Right, so write config. If you make any changes to your config, like any of these changes, you type in the console, in game or at the menu, you have to use the command write config, which is 1 line, and then space, then the name of what you want the file to be. It can be an existing file and then it'll just write over it. So that'll save any changes that you've made. To execute a config, you need to type exec, then space, then the file, then .cfg, and to make all the sort of visual changes, to make sure they're loaded, you need to type vid_restart, which is video restart. Right, so one of the biggest things about Quake and older games, especially older games with competitive aspects, is people don't play with textures on. You don't play with textures on because it's just insanely easier to see someone when the textures are flat. There's still like the baked in shadows on the map, the baked in light, so you still have depth perception, you can still see pretty well, but no one really plays with textures on because you just don't have time to look at textures when you're playing. So the command to turn textures off is r_picmip, PICMIP. I don't know why I'm spelling these out because I'm going to put them on the video anyway, but anyway, that can be any value from 0 to 7, I believe, and it may be 6, but the highest basically it blends the textures together. You can kind of see it if you go up the values incrementally. Is that a word? Incrementally? Gradually. So 0 would be textures on, 1 the textures would be beginning to blend together and look not very nice. 6 or 7, I think it's 6. 6 is the value you want to be using to turn textures off. It essentially just turns them into bland plasticine blocks. The Americans have plasticine, right? Okay. So that'll change your textures. I think I also spoke about sensitivity. If you load up the game, it's got ridiculous sensitivity, like 8 or something, which you'd have to be using a mouse at like 1 dpi or something, I don't know, but it's ridiculously high. So the command for sensitivity is m_speed. I think I run 1.8, which is actually quite high, but I've got a smaller mouse mat. Another thing that most people bounce off Quake, the reason being is because of the resolution. It's an old game, but with challenge quite through your CPMA, you can change that with R underscore custom aspect and then 1. You also need R mode -1. I don't know why it's -1. I don't even know what R mode does. I just know if you don't have -1 as the value for R mode, the resolution looks really strange. So if you're going to use a custom resolution, make sure you use R underscore mode -1, and then you can set the resolution with R width and R height. I know not everyone's going to have 1080 monitors. Some might have higher. I actually don't know how Quake runs on higher resolutions, but it's probably just fine. The next thing is when you're playing against people, well, obviously you're going to be playing against people, but enemy models, you want to force them to something that you can see quite well. The most popular choice in Quake Live and Quake 3 was Kill. So the command for that would be CG underscore enemy model, and then in the quotes you would type the name of the model. So for example, I use Kill, and then it's /PM, and that's the skin, the Pro Mod skin. Also you want to use CG underscore force colors to force the color. Most people use green. I think I've started using white. But really, whatever is more suitable for you. Another one is CG. No, it's not CG. It's just color. Color, and then in brackets. This is a kind of weird one because I've not really looked it up, but you can pretty much put anything in those brackets, any 5 characters, and it will produce a colour. So it must have a mixture between different colour variations, formats, but try anything in that until you get a colour you want. I think for bright green it's 5 eyes, so I times 5. So you just type I 5 times. Another thing that you definitely want on is True Lightning, CG underscore True Lightning 1, which basically makes the lightning gun go straight, because it's very disorientating if you're trying to play and the lightning gun is kind of swaying away from where you're pointing. That's a big problem in Quake World. I don't know if you can change it, but I don't like it in Quake World. You're also going to want a comfortable HUD, so the command would be ch underscore file, and then in quotes the name of the HUD. There is already 7 preloaded into the install, the default HUDs. There's 7, so you just use HUD and then any number from 1 to 7. Just try them all out. Some of them have frag messages, some of them don't, some of them have health bars, some of them have health numbers. Just go through them all. You can go through that in game, and then you have to use the command /reload HUD. All these commands actually use /. If you're playing in game, you need to use /, otherwise you'll just be sending everyone else in the game messages, which is funny. So you need reload HUD to change to reload the HUD. Have a look at those. CG underscore draw gun. You might like playing with the gun on, the gun off. I used to play with it off, but now I start playing with it on again. CG draw gun 1 will draw the gun and all the animations. CG draw gun 2 will freeze, well, not freeze, but not play any of the animations, so it's just a static gun. And CG draw gun 0 would be no gun, just the crosshair on your screen. The next thing is CG underscore field of view. Pretty self-explanatory. Everyone likes playing at different field of views. I like playing at 120. Some people like playing at 60. It's up to you. CG underscore draw crosshair. I think this is any value from 1 to 9. I think there's 9 different. Actually, there might be 10. There's quite a lot of crosshairs. Just go through all of them, see what you like. You can also change the colours as well. If you want to change the colours, can't remember command, I've not got it written down here. It's in the config anyway, I think it's crosshair color or something. Another model command you would need is CG_force model, because then it forces the models. Obviously you don't want to be playing against someone who's using the tiniest model in the game. I should say that models don't affect hitboxes in any way, so it doesn't matter. CG_alt lightning is any value from 1 to 5, I think. There's different shaders and different types of lightning. I think the one I use is 4, and it basically just changes the lightning to like, it just shows you where it's hitting. There's no like shader, there's no lightning shaft, if you like that. And model, although it's not super important, you're probably going to want to set a model for yourself, quite simply because it changes the jump sound, and some of the jump sounds are absolutely horrific. I use, the command is just model and then quotes the model. I use kill, I've used 0, which is XAERO/PM for the pro mode skin. I think 0 has like the sort of the nicest jump sound. It doesn't sound like a man jizzing in your ear. But that's all the important commands I can think of right now. I probably should have spoke about it in the very first episode because it's essential for playing. But thanks for listening.